ever paleontologist, freestylist. Nature has a habit of placing some of her most attractive treasures in places where it is difficult to locate and obtain them. Geneticists are, are a group of mathematicians who have taken over the Neanderthal Paleontology Guide Guild. Guide Guild. They call the shots now. Pop pop rocks are a ticking clock that measure the age of the Earth. This is the Mona Lisa of paleontology. A bird asked what a paleontologist was, and Mom said that if he took a complete illustrated guide to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, shred it into 100 pieces, cast them into the world from museum steps, let a few weeks pass, went back and scored Fifth Avenue and Central Park for as many surviving scraps as he could find, and tried to reconstruct the history of painting, including school styles, genres, and names of painters from his scraps. That would be like a paleontologist from an illustration and her animals of a bygone era, lepticadium, and extinct rabbit-like animal who left no descendant. Says too bad because we're really cute. A geneticist is a geek who claims to have proven through a regression analysis that Neanderthal had sex with your great grandmother 50,000 years ago. And after a handful of geeks sequenced the Neanderthal genome and found a 2% match, they opened the floodgates to hundreds of geneticists that now make a living telling you what diseases you inherited from an extinct Arctic ape. As a paleontologist asked the question, why weren't there humans here earlier? I mean, we have dispersal of Eurasian animal species into North America and dispersal of North American species into Eurasia and at earlier times. So why shouldn't humans have been here as well? Raps I dwell. No. A few species have been documented and making brief exertions over land between rock pools in search of prey, and take it my prey they encounter en route, including rats. I tell my rapping, why has not anyone seen that fossils alone gave birth to a theory about formation of Earth that without them no one would have ever dreamed that there were successive epochs in the formation of the globe. I simply would not accede to being forced into this, and would frequently be kept out of classes because of irrelevant comments and mocking this religious stuff. Frankly, it stayed with me to this day. In fact, don't get me wrong, it's almost as bad as Richard Dawkins on the issue. Today, there remain but a few small areas on the world's map unmarked by explorers' trails. Human courage and endurance have conquered the poles. The secrets of the tropical jungles have been revealed. The highest mountains of the earth have heard the voice of man. But this does not mean that the youth of the future has no new worlds to vanquish. It means only the explorer must change his methods. Rapid, relentless, again. There I go, spit, and again. I said. I'm not sure if erotica should be angry and grim and terrifying and bitter, but it works for me. I rode my frustration. I kicked the bitch in the ribs until it spat up what I needed. Paleontology is a very visual inquiry, and all paleontologists scribble on napkins at coffee breaks, making sketches to explain their thinking. Evolution has no purpose. Man must apply this for himself. Really, the best way to understand anything about dinosaurs is by looking at living animals. You look at birds and then look at the closest living ancestor of birds, which is the crocodile. If you look at the characteristics of birds that birds and crocodiles have in common, the explanation is that the trait was in the common ancestor that birds and crocodiles had at one time. Rhyme after rhyme, all day and all night, driving me crazy inside my mind. The worse the country, the more tortured it is by water and wind, the more broken and carved, the more it attracts fossil hunters who depend on the planet to open itself to us, and we can only scratch away what natural forces have brought to the surface. Perhaps the only thing that saves science from invalid conventional wisdom that becomes effectively permanent is the presence of mavericks in every generation, people who keep challenging convention and thinking up new ideas for the sheer hell of it, or from a contrariness. It is certain within the domain of science to determine when the earth was first fitted to receive life, and what form the earliest life began. To trace that life and its manifold changes through past ages to the present is more difficult task, but one from which modern science does not shrink. The hunter of wild game is always bringing live animals near to death and extinction, whereas the fossil hunter is always seeking to bring extinct animals to life, rhyme after rhyme, and vertebrate paleontology. Increasing knowledge leads to triumphant loss of clarity. The geologist strides across the landscape to get the big picture, but the paleontologist stays at one spot or shuffles along looking at the ground for his pet objects. He would never have scales, feathers, or breasts if he didn't have teeth in the first place. The past is mysterious, ever so. So the farther we look back from our vantage point in the 20th century world, as we follow the procession of the year back through time, the earth and its inhabitants seem to us less real and less substantial, but more distinct, the more distantly they are removed from this age in which we live. Bye forever, paleontologist, freestylist.